So today we're going to be covering what is nice guy syndrome and how to figure out if you have it or if you are a people pleaser, which is essentially the same thing. Here's a short definition of being a nice guy or a people pleaser. You use nice and pleasing behaviors deliberately to manipulate people into feeling certain emotions that make you more comfortable and make them more likely to like you. You essentially are seeking approval or avoiding disapproval, even if it means compromising your own integrity. Now, to expand this out, let's cover some of the key factors that nice guys and people pleasers have in common. Bear in mind, you probably won't have all of these. There are different types of nice guys and girls, and so you're not going to match everything that I talk about here today. Number one, and this is what they all have in common, dishonesty. Now, the problem with this one is a lot of you will think of yourselves as honest because you lie to yourselves before you speak to others. But dishonesty essentially means hiding anything significant or true about yourself. So if you think about it, do you ever hide your true opinions and feelings for people? Do you ever hide what you want or what you don't want? Do you ever not share your preferences? Do you ever not stand up for what you believe in? Do you ever let people believe something about you that you know is not true? This is all dishonesty. Now, not nice guys and people pleasers are dishonest, but it's one of the key factors of people pleasing. You hide what might not please people. Two is covert contracts. This is where you expect other people to behave a certain way, but you don't tell them directly. And you might even resent them or get frustrated with them for not behaving the way you think they should, particularly and specifically around rewarding you for being nice. You think there's a kind of karma-like system where if I'm nice, people should treat me well. I should get what I'm giving back in return. And you get upset when people disappoint you with this. But you don't actually tell people that that's what you want. You just imply it with your behavior, and you think there's a set of rules that people should follow that you don't even need to tell them about. Another one is the chameleon effect. This is somebody who adapts who they are to their audience in order to please them. So you'll be a different person with each different person you hang out with. You change your personality and your performance or your persona to suit the person and make them like you more. And you can adapt to different people. So you might be really high achieving and hardworking with your boss, and then you might be the funny guy with your friends, and you might be the caring, compassionate guy with your girlfriend, you might be the intelligent, smart scholar with your parents, and you put on the kind of roles that you know they want to see. You adapt to your environment. Conflict avoidance, this is what we nearly all have in common. We either prevent or fix conflicts. So if people are getting into emotions that we don't feel comfortable with, we either try to stop that from happening in the first place, like someone who tells jokes all the time to keep everybody feeling happy, or when it does happen, we mediate and fix it. We try to repair the damage. We try to stop people having conflict with us. We try to stop them having conflict with each other. We just try to avoid any kind of confrontation. Fear of rejection. Now, of course, nearly all humans have this to some extent. But nice guys and people pleasers go so far as they take almost no social risk. We won't do something unless there's a high chance of success, socially speaking. If there's even a medium chance of rejection, we'll avoid it. Uncertainty around preferences and principles. This especially applies to people who have been doing this for a long time. You start to lose track of who you are and what you really stand for and what you really want. You're so busy trying to be what everyone else wants you to be that you actually kind of forget who you are. So you might not be sure of where you stand politically. You might not be sure what you actually want to do with your life. Might not even be sure who you're really attracted to and who you really want as friends. You just got this uncertainty, and you might have this great uncertainty about your principles, your values. What do you stand for? Struggle with expressing emotions, particularly emotions that we call negative, like anger and confusion is a big one. Disappointment, sadness, anything that people might perceive as weak, or people might try to fix, or people might judge us for. We generally try to look like we're staying in a narrow band of emotion of happiness or unaffectedness, calmness, rationality. We don't really let anyone see that we're feeling something strongly. In fact, most of us suppress the emotion so we don't even feel it strongly in the first place. sex addiction or obsession with sex or fear of sex, something very dark and painful about going into the bedroom, so to speak. So maybe you have porn addiction, or you use sex workers, or maybe you're constantly seeking sex all the time and you treat it like it's a really big priority and a really important factor in life. Or you're afraid of it, you sabotage chances for it to happen, you avoid it, you get very uncomfortable, maybe you have performance anxiety issues in the bedroom. In general, just shame around sexuality. Again, this is common to lots of people, not just nice guys and people pleasers. But if you have this and a lot of the other symptoms we're talking about, then you're probably a nice guy or girl. Combination of anxious and avoidant attachment styles. So I won't go into details around these now. The book Attached is worth reading if you want to learn more about this. But an avoidant attachment is somebody who keeps someone at arm's distance because they're scared of letting people in. They don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to be intimate. An anxious attachment is scared of losing people, so you cling to them. Nice guys and people pleasers tend to fluctuate between the two. If it looks like someone's going to leave us or dislike us, we desperately, anxiously try to bring them back in and make them like us again. But on the same note, if that person then starts to get too close and it gets kind of dangerous, we'll keep them from arm's distance. We'll use superficiality or coldness or something like that to prevent them from getting to the point where they could actually hurt our feelings. And we kind of fluctuate back and forth between these two, or it depends on the person we're with. Some people we're anxious with and other people we're avoidant with. Suppressed rage. You know you've got this if you occasionally puke, which is a nice guy term made up by Dr. Robert Glover. And this is where all the resentment and irritation and annoyance that you've been suppressing bursts out of you in an inappropriate level. Like for me, I might be driving my car one day and suddenly someone cuts me off in traffic and I just lose my mind, start punching the steering wheel and yelling and crying apparently out of nowhere. Or the implosion can happen where somebody gets these great periods of depression and anxiety where it's like they've imploded inside. There's an old quote I got somewhere that depression is rage turned inwards. So if you hold in a lot of anger, you might occasionally crash into depression. And lastly, though this is not the end of the list, there's plenty more than this, a sense of unfairness. This idea that you've been a good person and you're not getting what you deserve, that the world doesn't work properly, that the universe is unfair, that karma should be rewarding you better than it is, even a sense that you're better than other people and yet they're getting more rewards than you are. That kind of feeling that things aren't going your way the way they should, that is really common in the people pleaser universe.